For the past little while, I have been trying to put my efforts into planning out my forest book. Stay present in how I can work on my novels and a more gentle approach than kind of what's been going on in my head. Hello, I'm Nicole, and if you're new here, I consider myself to be a writer, but it has been a very long time since I have done any actual writing. But I thought I would catch you up on what I've been doing in the past couple of months in terms of writing. I know it has been quite a while since I've talked about working on my novels. I think the last time I talked to you about them was back in January, and then in March I got totally swept up in my whole NaNoWriMo project. So if you don't already know me and the projects I've been working on, currently I have 2 novels in the works, one that I am calling my Project Forest Book, or just like my forest book. I don't really have a title in mind for it, that I wrote in this past November. At least I wrote most of the first draft of it, and basically that's a story about a woman who is escaping her everyday life to go rent a cabin in the woods, and she falls in love with the person who owns the cabin. That's a very short summary of it, and my other book, which I'm calling Project 2A, is about 2 best friends who fell in love a long time ago. They broke up, stayed out of contact with each other, and then eventually find themselves coming back together for a mutual wedding that they're attending. And that was a book that I started writing in NaNoWriMo 2022, I believe it was, and I finished the first draft there. And here we are today. I have a couple more drafts of Project 2A done, and I still have not finished the first full complete draft of my forest book. If you've been keeping up with my channel at all, you know that back in March I participated in NaNoWriMo, which was a challenge where I wrote a visual novel in 1 month, and that was so fun. But if there is something I have learned about doing all these challenges, and I know some of you out there have pointed it out to me before, it's very easy to get burnt out by doing them, by putting in so much creative energy all in 1 month, racing to get something done, and then that's it. So I think that's where I've been finding myself these past couple of months since the end of March. Just kind of feeling burnt out, but also a deep lack of self-confidence in my writing. Even though I was so proud of what I wrote during NaNoWriMo and what I created, I think some part of me was just still thinking that like my writing would not be good enough and like how to pursue it. And even though I still really wanted to write and all my characters were still coming to me in my mind and how I could write about them, actually putting in the work on it has been very difficult, like a mental roadblock. And something that has been such a great help is having these regular writing meetings with my friend Lindsay. Once a week, we try to meet up over the phone and discuss kind of our writing goals, our novels, what we're working on, and how we can help each other out. Throughout these past couple of months, it's really been helping me kind of stay present in how I can work on my novels and a more gentle approach than kind of what's been going on in my head about the self-criticism and not wanting to work on my novels. So actually, for the past little while, I have been trying to put my efforts into planning out my forest book. I had some general plans going into it before NaNoWriMo and writing most of that first draft. I knew what I wanted the big picture of the story to kind of be, the major plot points of how my characters fall in love. But I think in terms of the theme of the novel and kind of all the nitty-gritty details and all of the subplots and things like that, I wasn't super crystal clear on it, and I think what I've written so far in my first draft of my forest book has kind of gotten away from me. But over time, over the months that have passed, I've been thinking about it more and how I want the book to be, and I've done more planning. Like I said, I finally went back to the drawing board, and through these writing sessions with Lindsay, I was able to actually write some character profiles for the 2 leading ladies of my book, and also write a generic plot outline. I say it's generic because pretty much all it is just kind of me looking at like an actual plot line structure that I would have followed back in school of like, you know, Act 1, the inciting incident happens, and then there's the turning point, and then in Act 2, there's all these events that lead up to the climax at the start of Act 3, and then kind of how the book resolves itself from there. So that's what I've done, and at least I have it all down on paper now so I can look at it. I have a good idea of the themes I want to convey in my book, and my goal for this week or by this time next week, is to have kind of rewritten at least the first chapter of my forest book. I do have a almost finished first draft from NaNoWriMo, which I just really haven't touched, and behind the scenes, I've tried to make other writing vlogs of me kind of planning out, working on my novel. It just hasn't worked out. And in addition to this, over time, I also turned 30. Yay! And I filmed like a few birthday vlogs around that. But again, it's just kind of like this self-doubt and unsureness of what I want to share has really gotten to me, and I don't want it to get to me because I really enjoyed the process of documenting different parts of my life and sharing them with you, and I don't know what this mental roadblock is. Life has just gotten a little bit busy. So if you are a subscriber and you've stuck around with my channel for a little while, hello, I'm back. We're going to be working on my novels again, but that is my little ramble for this morning. Basically, I want to take you along this week as I work on tightening up the original plot line, the basic one that I have written so far, because I have a copy of Romancing the Beat and I've only heard good things about how this can help your story structure. So I'm hoping to read through this and kind of figure out how I can add some more stuff to the outline I've already written and then incorporate that as I'm going through my rewrite. But for now, like usual, I'm going to eat my breakfast, probably read a little bit of this, but also I am very deep into One Last Stop. I am loving this book. I can't put it down. So I'm gonna do a mix of that while I eat my breakfast, and then maybe I'll chat with you again in a minute. So far so good. I finished up my chapter of One Last Stop. I just want to keep reading because I want to find out how it ends, but I stopped myself at the end of the chapter I was on. And I've read a good portion of Romancing the Beat. It's a very fast little read, and I can see how it'll be really useful to kind of read back and forth as I'm doing some revisions. I really like how the author of the book is kind of outlining a beat sheet of all these beats that your romantic story should be meeting, and I can see myself making one. So I think maybe that's the next thing I will work on in terms of plot outlining, just kind of making this beat sheet and figuring out all the different beats that I want my story to meet. I think I have most of them figured out, but I'm gonna continue reading through this to fully figure it out so I can make sure that going into my next writing session, everything will be fine and happy. I don't know if I've mentioned it to you, but I am definitely not a plotter. My brain is very resistant to plotting out a story, although it helps me out a lot because things tend to get messy if I don't plot them. So I'm trying to do things a little bit differently, and I think this is going to be a great resource to return to. And I figure I should explain to you why I have all these threes around so you don't think I am some very odd person who is obsessed with the number 3. Basically, the backstory to me having a bunch of threes glued onto cardboard stuck around is that I've been going to a weekly trivia night and my team is called Third Place because we were coming in third place a couple of times and we couldn't think of a better name, and tonight is the finale of the trivia season, so I thought it would be fun to make us all threes that we're going to glue onto some beaded necklaces, and then I'll have them color them in at the bar so they can all add their own creative flair to them. That's why I have a bunch of threes around. 1 3 down, 7 more to go. Good morning. Apologies if my hair is still a little bit wet. I just showered. I did my workout class this morning and now I am back home and I'm just letting my hair air dry. The plan for today is I'm going to enjoy my breakfast. I am going to try and finish One Last Stop. I just have a tiny bit left. I think it's just like a part of a chapter. I was reading it so much during my lunch break, and then when I finished work, before I headed off to trivia, I was trying to read more, but I had to stop myself at a very exciting point because I knew if I kept reading, I would be late. And anyways, still have more to finish, so I will do that over breakfast. But update for you, for the very first time for this whole trivia season, my team, third place, won first place for the evening. It was such a thrilling moment for us because we thought our score was pretty low. It was a really hard trivia night and we weren't sure how we'd do, but we still ended up in first. I believe our score was 48 out of 70, so yay for us. And we also won the Team Spirit Award for being a team that has shown up every single week. We've brought in new friends, we have cheered loud, and because of that we got some free shots last night, which was awesome. And my whole team had a lot of fun coloring in our third place medals. We did end up winning third place overall for the entire season, so on the scoreboard of 1, 2, 3, third place is in third place. It was so much fun and I'm really looking forward to our next season, and that's the update. In terms of writing, my friend Lindsay and I are still planning on having a writer's night tonight. We are planning on doing it around 8 p.m. so that gives me time after work to come home, have some dinner. But I think during our writing session tonight, we're going to do our usual catch up, I'm sure. And then sometimes we do some writing sprints if we're not too busy just kind of chatting about our goals and catching up. But if we do end up doing a writing sprint tonight, I think I am going to start working on my beat sheet using this, going back and forth between the two. So I'm looking forward to that because this has been very inspiring and getting my brain working. So has been reading. Reading has been very inspiring to me, just getting to experience another story and then really wanting to write my own. So I guess that's the benefit of reading. Book. I finished my breakfast. I love this book. If you have not read One Last Stop yet and you want a good queer story starring two women, please read it. It was not what I expected. It was way better than I could ever imagine. It is a very intense book, but it's such a joy to read and I'm so glad I got to pick it up in New York. How fitting, because it takes place in New York itself. Highly recommend it. And so before I head off to work today, I am going to fill out my very first entry on the 50 romance novels cheat. Okay, so I have got to do the date completed, and then I guess I put down a check mark that I've done it. Maybe I'll actually put a sticker because that sounds fun. And then I give it a rating. Ooh, but do I want to do it in black pen? I'm gonna find a red pen. It's funny that it's considered a contemporary book. I mean, I guess it is, but also I think there's something in it that kind of exists in the realm of paranormal, even though it has a logical explanation. And I feel like I'm pretty easy to please when it comes to books, so I'm gonna give it 5 hearts out of 5 hearts. Truly a book I could not put down, and I think I would read it again. Ta-da! There are so many books on this list that I just haven't even heard of yet. I don't know what I'm gonna read next. I definitely have a backlog of other books I have to read. I guess we'll see. I know there's a couple books on here that friends have read before. Don't know. I'll try to keep you updated, maybe through Instagram, about what I read next on the list, but it may be a while. But that's it from me for this morning. I've got to get to work. Good morning. I feel like I am not doing the best job of vlogging and showing you what I've been doing kind of writing wise and life outside of work. But part of me filming this vlog is that I want to keep making content even if in my head I'm telling myself it's not going to be the greatest thing. I think it'll be important to me and important in general to just kind of keep going, even like with my writing, avoiding trying to be perfect and just actually doing doing the task instead of kind of waiting for the moment when it will be perfect. I hope that makes sense. But anyways, yesterday after I got home from work, the evening just kind of got away from me, in all honesty. I probably wasn't in the greatest headspace when I left work yesterday. I think I was just feeling very tired and kind of overwhelmed with some stuff, and I left work later than I intended, and then by the time I got home, just kind of catching up with my husband. We made dinner together, we ate it very quickly, and then it was time for the writing session with Lindsay, which went really well. It's such a refresher to be able to have a moment to talk to her and just kind of like focus on our writing, but also have a little catch up with each other. It ended up being very productive. For us both, we did one little 25-minute writing sprint. So during that time, I don't have it with me, I left it at my desk, but I was referencing Romancing the Beat, and I got through kind of like the first 2 sections of the beats to write out of 4. So that's kind of like the setup where you have the initial introduction of characters and the meet cute, writing notes about that and kind of how I can incorporate tips from the book, and then kind of getting into the second part of them falling in love and kind of writing a few things of what I wanted to happen there. It's funny that I have leaned away from planning my novels for so long, because even though I don't really like the task of plotting things out and writing things down, I find that as I'm actually doing it, I'm getting really excited to write. So my plan for this morning was to sit down and kind of try to finish off that beat sheet. But you know, life happens. I think I was feeling so tired from yesterday. I kind of stayed in bed for longer than I normally would. I don't know, here I am. I just basically have time to get ready for work, pack my lunch, have breakfast, eat it, and go. So that's what I'm gonna do. But if I'm feeling up for it tonight, hopefully I will return to that beat sheet. But again, I'm trying not to force myself to do things when I feel so tired, because I need to remind myself that I am a person who is living life, and the more I kind of push myself when I'm not really feeling my greatest to be creative, it kind of makes me shy away from it in all aspects, writing, making videos, etc. So I'm trying to be kinder to myself, and I'm just going to enjoy my breakfast. So that's my catch up for you this morning. It's not perfect, but I am showing up. Good morning. It is now Sunday, and please excuse my appearance if I look a little disheveled. This is me on a Sunday morning, having just kind of rolled out of bed, and I went out to our back deck to do some work on my beat sheet. It's been a couple days since I last talked to you. It's just been a busy time at work, and then me not kind of having the energy to talk to camera in the evenings or in the mornings. I've just been focused on getting through the rest of the week, and now here I am. Yesterday on Saturday, I had a really lovely day getting to spend some time with my family in the morning, and then spent the rest of the afternoon and evening with my friends. And this morning I woke up feeling refreshed and ready to return to my writing, working on the beat sheet. So I just decided to come out here, write, enjoy the nice lovely morning, because I think it's supposed to rain later tonight, and I've completed my beat sheet. I have just been sitting down here for the past 2-ish hours, finishing the rest of Romancing the Beat. It is a very quick read, and I have a feeling I will be returning to it often. For now, my whole beat sheet is complete, though in completing it, I did realize I have some gaps in knowledge of what I know from my characters. I feel like I have a good understanding of the love interest's relationship with her family, but really I don't know very much about my main character's relationship with her family, and I'm kind of questioning if that's important to the story or not. I think it's something I'll have to think about because I don't know why it hasn't come up at all, which it's a question I'll have to ask myself. So I guess the next thing I'll be moving on to is writing my first chapter once again. Maybe later today, maybe sometime in the next week. I'll see. I don't want to put too much pressure on myself because I'm trying to remind myself that writing is fun and it's enjoyable and it's not a task I should feel like I need to force myself to be doing, and when I can find time to do it, that's great, and I want to do that without feeling like I'm dreading it in a way. So that's the update for me this morning. I'm also very tempted now to try and create like a chapter by chapter what is happening, but I'm afraid that will also just kind of get me stuck in a plotting spiral. So I think writing the first chapter again, looking at what I've already written, is the next step to take. So now I'm gonna get on with my day and I will check in with you later. Good morning. It's Monday now. There wasn't any more writing yesterday, and I think I'm going to end the vlog off here. We'll start the next one when I actually start writing chapter 1 or rewriting chapter 1 of my forest book. I'm very excited to get back into it. Yesterday just ended up being a day to catch up on life, run some errands, get lots of stuff done around the house. So there's that. Thank you so much for watching and for coming along with me on this past week of trying to figure out how to start working on my books again despite being busy in life and just focusing on making progress and not having it be perfect all the time. And that's kind of what's been happening, squeezing in the writing when I can and not feeling bad when I can't. If you enjoyed this video, it would mean so much if you left me a like to let me know you liked it, and if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe so you'll be notified of when I post my next video, which will hopefully be a full writing vlog. But until then, I will see you later. Bye!